Languages are the merely tool that people deploy the most nowadays to communicate with each other. Since it's a tool, some people use it poorly and fail to convey what they have in their minds, and this hinders them from making any progress in their life, whereas others succeed in getting the mission done by having a good control of it. By uttering the right letters to form magnificent words and mesmerizing sentences, we can inspire and influence the world. This, with no doubt, is contingent upon the speakers themselves. The raised issues bring to the surface a number of questions about the nature of language, its power, and how one can employ it to walk on the path of success. To find the answers and the secrets behind the language, I will talk about The Power of Verbal Intelligence, which is written by Tony Buzan. The verbal intelligence is defined as the ability to juggle with the letters of the alphabets that allow us, when combined together, of course, to create words and sentences. Our verbal IQ is measured by the size and range of vocabulary we have and the ability to see relationships between them. In his book, Tony Buzan takes us into a long and exciting journey to show us the power of language and how to develop it so that we can make our goals come true. According to some psychological studies, there is a strong correlation between the way language is deployed and people's success. Learning vocabulary is vitally important in any language, and there are a variety of people who are not good at it. Tony Buzan says that we are genius by nature and that we are too distracted to notice this given gift. If we take a good look at the child, we will see plainly how it acquires its first language. It plays with words all the time while making all sorts of mistakes repeatedly, and it's never mortified of that, but rather it enjoys itself and seizes any chance to learn more. It's never bored. Also, if we put a child in any country, it will soon master the language in a very short amount of time. When improving our language and learning more about it, we should imitate the child to get rid of all the obstacles that we come across. What's even better is that we as adults have the ability and the capacity to learn faster than a child does. Learning roots is considerably significant in any language. If we know the origins of the words, our life will get better at so many levels. To illustrate, I will provide you with an example from the book. The root arc comes from the Greek word archos, which means ruler. So, whenever we spot this root in any word that we encounter, we will know for sure that the encountered word has to do with ruling. Here are some words containing this root: patriarch, the male head of a family or community; matriarch, the female head of a family or social group; and oligarchy, a small group of people who rule or govern a state. This shows the importance of learning roots and how they can massively enhance our understanding. Along with learning roots, there are prefixes and suffixes which will highly increase our vocabulary. The prefix is a letter or a group of letters that come before a word such as pre, in, fill, whereas the suffix is a letter or a group of letters that come after a word such as iti, meant, ik. Let us now take a look at two examples of each. The prefix fill is derived from the Greek word philos, which means love. So the words containing this prefix have to do with love of something. For example, take a look at the term philosophy, which means love of wisdom, or philomath, lover of learning. In regard to suffixes, the suffix ity comes from the Latin itas, which means state of or quality. The words celebrity, the state of being fame, and eternity, state of timeless, never ending, are examples of that. With no doubt, when we learn something, we need to commit it to memory. And the best way to do this is to take into account two parts. The first part is repetition, and the second one is the spacing and timing between those repetitions. Applying this formula will make the information sink into the long-term memory. Follow these steps. First repetition after 1 hour, second repetition after 1 day, third repetition after 1 week, fourth repetition after 1 month, and the last repetition after 6 months. To maximize and optimize our learning process, we should use the two sides of our brain. The left side of the human brain, as known, deals predominantly with words, logic, numbers, analysis, etc., while the right side deals predominantly with spatial awareness, imagination, daydreaming, colors, etc. So, using the two hemispheres of the brain is the essential key to mastery. Although words belong to the left side of the brain, we can make it alive by including the right side of the brain in the learning process. For instance, rather than learning a new word by heart in the traditional way, we can resort to our imagination and create a story of some kind to give birth to the word and make it more alive. By deploying the two sides of the brain so that they work together, the information we get will sink deep into our long-term memory. The next issue that Tony Buzan discusses in his book is the body talk. It's true that we convey our message by using the language properly, but this is not enough if our body and our voice contradict what we say. Albert, in his work Silent Message, revealed a fascinating study on the relationship between the three elements of spoken verbal intelligence. He discovered that those receiving the message gave the following emphasis to each element in terms of their judgment whether the message was true or not. Words and content 7%, voice tone and energy 38%, body and its language 55%. Tony Buzan believes that Albert achieved this incredible result because people receiving our verbal intelligence know that our body will show what our imagination is picturing. In the same way, our voice reveals what our imagination and true feelings are. There was a study that discovered that the blind use gestures too, even if they have never seen before. It's innate. These factors indicate that all these three elements work in harmony and thereby create balance. The last thing that I'm going to tackle in this review is the reading comprehension. Some people think that reading slowly would make them have a better understanding of the material. Yet, studies show that the opposite is true. People can understand better if they read fast. When reading fast, we actually look at the information as a whole instead of reading it word by word. To achieve good results and to further improve our understanding, we need to train our eyes that have wide range of seeing and use a pencil, a stick, or anything similar so that the eyes can focus and follow the tool that we use as moving from one line to another. The writer suggests, along with reading fast, taking a look at the headings, index, titles, summaries, and anything that the material has. This makes our brain concentrate more. He says these things because a great deal of people believe that they have to read a book, for example, from the beginning to the end without first checking the material, and this is wrong and does not help much. As we saw in this review, the book deals with a number of significant issues related to the language that help us improve our verbal skills at all levels. Following these tips will help us succeed in life because what we do most of the time requires language. In this book, I just tackled a few points. Covering all the chapters is not a good choice. I suggest reading the book because there are a lot of things that I did not mention, such as the puzzles, mind mapping, and so much more. I believe that if you read the book and finish it, you will become a different person.